Good afternoon. Today is October 28th, 2019. My name is Olawale Okabola at Spartacus Trading Corporation. It's approximately 4:25. The New York pit session just closed. This is the prep report for tomorrow, October 29th, 2019. Looking at the bar charts, starting off with the monthly, we are we broke out of the 3 month, 2 month balance area range. Everybody who's been with me, especially the traders I've trained and those who are still on board via an option, they are reaping the benefits of understanding what happened or what was setting up. It's the better word to use. What we're setting up for the month of October once you cross October's open. I've been talking about it for a while. Why I'm still talking about it? Because this event only happens maybe twice a year. And so when you have a situation when the month opens up, trades lower, didn't even bother to really trade higher, trades lower, finds no acceptance, and comes back out and takes out the open, leaving a legitimate excess low. More than likely, for for me, more than likely, the market usually goes about 50 points or so. So I took advantage of that, and some traders I've trained took advantage of that. We got our 50 points. I'm still in a couple of options, and I'll look to hedge that position. I went out a month, so I got like probably another week left on the option. And so if there's any problem, I will just hedge and take money going the other way. So anyway, nevertheless, this was a great setup that was coming. It finally happened, and we took advantage of it. I grabbed like 51 points or something like that. All right, to the weekly. Forever, we've been talking about this multi-week balance area. Here's the high, here's the low. How the market was chopping in here for about 13 weeks, I believe. The market broke out finally of this balance area, multi-week balance area. It broke out via a gap today, right? Not much going on today, but we broke out. The bigger question for a time frame longer than the day time frame, are we going to be accepted above or below? Well, are we going to be accepted above this breakout, or will it reject and will get some acceptance back below? You want to apply the balance rules. Most people are familiar with the balance rules, profile theory. Go with all balances that are not, that I'm thinking of the gap rules from today, sorry. Either you break out and accelerate, you break out and fail, which means the destination, just the destination, doesn't mean we have to get there, is the opposite extreme, or you remain in balance. We have broken out. So the question is, do we, is it a success or do we fail? That is the bigger question. If we fail, we'll find acceptance by the end of the week, not in a day. By the end of the week, acceptance is a close back below. Do we find acceptance? If we do, then the destination is to the opposite extreme. Doesn't mean it's going to happen in 1 week or 2 weeks. Remember, this was a multi-week balance area. If we begin to get acceptance, figure out your half back of this former balance area. You take the high and the low, divide it by two, figure out that half back so you can be able to monitor that trade. For time frames longer than the day time frame, if they're waiting for this trade to fail, they're going to take that trade, that short, once it comes back in. And where do you think they're going to have their stops? Folks who are playing this balance area, where do you think they had their stops when the market broke out? And more than likely, we hit some of those stops. I don't know if we got all of them. That's the bigger question for me, because this was such a this balance area had been in place for a while. So that's the bigger question. Did we really get all the stops, or were there really any stops above? That's the question I have for a time frame longer than a day time frame, as I strategize and look to for the next move for me to swing, take a swing trade, either going long or short. So that's what's going on in the weekly. We are one time framing, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. The trend for the weekly, it's still up. You can draw your line here, you can draw your line there, you can draw your line however you want to draw your line. But nevertheless, the trend is still up, and we are time framing up. This time framing is pretty steep, so be careful. There could be some liquidation, or we'll continue to shoot on up to the stars. We've made new all-time highs, so there's nothing stopping the market from trading higher, especially if there's no sellers or any news to make the market, take a nosedive. All right, onto the daily chart. Nothing impressive. We're one time framing 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 days in a row. We gap today. The bigger question is, can we hold the gap for the week? If we can hold the gap by the end of the week, what does that do? That keeps us out of this former multi-week balance area. It keeps us out at least for this week, and it possibly signals more action to the upside. So the bigger question is, if this market is truly, 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 what's the word I'm looking for? Legit. If this market is truly legit, right? We should not get any acceptance. Well, we should not fill this gap, and we should trade higher, at least for the week. So that's something we want to pay attention to. Moving on to the profiles. Today is your perfect balance day. So on a day time frame, you want to apply the balance rules. Okay? I just talked about the balance rules. I'll share it again for those who are not sure of them. Either you remain in balance, you break out of balance either to the up or downside and accelerate, or you break out and fail. If you break out in either direction and fail, the destination is to the opposite extreme. For example, you break out, close the gap, but come back in and close back within. Not necessarily close the gap, but just break out of today's range. We close back within, or we come back within this range. More than likely, we're going to rotate up. I don't have the percentage, but it's there's a lot of logic behind that, but I'm not going to get into that now. Okay? And it's vice versa to the upside. Breaking out, no acceptance, come back in. The destination is to the opposite extreme. So we're applying the balance rules for today's range. And here I am. I'm going to give you the answers for the test tomorrow. I think it's very important you focus in on half back. Today's half back, which is 38. Focus on 38 because you use some logic. If we're trading above, value. When I say trading above, I'm not talking about price. I'm talking about value. Value begins to, if we're trading above this half back, value begins to be overlapping to higher. If we're trading below this half back with some extension, value is now at least at a minimum overlapping to lower. We have a clear balance, a little excess on the low, excess on the high. We have a clear balance. What better reference to use than the half back? Got a treat for you. This is my more detailed chart. As you can see here, this is a block sale. Someone hit it at market. 1,100 contracts at market. 1,100 contracts at market. Not just because he's 1,100, which is a lot, but in the last 30 minutes of the trading day. 1,100. It was a sale. 600. Someone hit it again. 600. The last 30 minutes of the day, a sale. Then 200, that's pretty common. Let's go through today and see if there's any other block. See, the commons are 200s, 300s. Sometimes you'll get close to 400. Folks, we got 1,100. Pay attention to that. And that's at 39 quarter. So my thinking is, if these, because they sold, I don't know if they liquidate or I don't know if they're new money. That's the question. But just use logic. If they're new money sellers, we're not getting acceptance back above this green area, shaded area. That's half back. We're not getting accepted back above there because someone pushed the market down. at the end of the day. And then you got the 600 following up. Where did this 600 happen? Right here, right at the point of control. That happens to be 14 wide. Point of control did not migrate higher. And every period today, we hit this price point of 38.50 and 38 quarter. The mystery is starting to come together, right, folks? If in fact they just liquidated their position and there's no more sellers, guess where we're going to find acceptance? That's right, you guessed it, above the half back. So think about that. What I'm just making you aware of. Think about it, and then you layer in the logic of a clear symmetrical balance in the profile. One day you call it a balance. Where would you begin to? This is how I use for the longer periods, like a weekly, monthly, where I talk about the 13-week half back or the 3-month half back or whatever on a longer time frame than the day time frame. The half back is just a gauge to see where's the market trading in the balance area, either above or below. So if you think about it, if we're trading below value, again, not price, price will mislead you. Value is building below the half back. Then you look at, we got a gap. We can easily enter the gap, take out that former, we can come back within this former all-time high, probably some news, former all-time high, okay? Then we begin to challenge this multi-week balance area that I talked about here on the bar charts. With you labeling your charts correctly, you can begin to visualize without even having to go back and refer to it, what's happening. And we got a gap that could be filled. And then if you look at the overnight structure, what do you think is under here? So more than likely, if the market fills the gap, if there's enough momentum, you don't think we're going after these overnight stops? And then what's under there? We have a gap from overnight that hasn't been filled, an overnight gap. I've done a live trade taking advantage of the overnight gaps. I don't remember what date it is. So there's some potential to the downside that will back up a theory. Well, you won't know till after the fact that whoever hit it here, new money selling. That will back that up 100%. You'll never know, but at least you're positioned the right way. If we're trading above and value is building above the half back, again, it's the halfway mark. Are we halfway? Are we in the upper half or the lower half? Very, very, very simple. And if we're trading above the half back, even if these folks was new money sellers, where do you think their stop is? And if we're trading above, whose stop are we hitting? Not just theirs, not this guy or institution or whoever. It's not just their stops we're hitting, but we're probably hitting a whole lot of stops because nevertheless, we just made new all-time highs and we have excess. If you're looking for an asymmetrical trade and you don't believe in this market, this is the ultimate trade location where your risk is defined. If we're trading higher, where are they putting their stops? All right, folks, I have given you the answers to the test to help you prepare yourself for tomorrow's trade. Tomorrow's trade should be very readable, irregardless if we gap lower, we gap higher, or we open higher, or we open lower. Your position, and you should be anchored on what's going on. Then all you do is just monitor developing value. See how value is developing, higher or lower. If there's a problem, one time framing will go in the opposite direction of where value at least started to develop. I talked about that concept several times. All right, folks, this is Olawale Okabolo of Spartacus Trading Corporation. Wishing you all a good day. And one more thing, administrative. I have some availability to begin training traders one-on-one. My training program is one-on-one. That way, it's we can customize the program to your needs. I focus on execution. Anybody and everybody has their own analysis of thoughts of them on the market, which is fine. But being able to execute brings the consistency. And so that's what we definitely focus in on here at Spartacus Training Corporation. So for those who are interested in the training program, on the YouTube channel, you should see my email address, or if you follow me on Twitter, just hit me on Twitter. All right, folks, that is it. Have a good day.